Everything you're saying, the universe is delivering a message I needed to hear.
You have to be willing to be extremely uncomfortable. And so I think what I'm very good at is being uncomfortable because of my immigrant background. When we talk about generational trauma, that trauma isn't very far away in terms of survival and the atrocities that my ancestors experienced. So I'm like, come on. My father, my mother, they experienced bombings. My mother got shot. My father sold cigarettes on the streets of Baghdad. He saw hangings in the street. He saw cousins shot. This is not fucking hard, Nineveh. Come on. You can do this. So I think business is more of a mental game.
Look at me, habibi. Dubai Jeep, let's get it. Look at me, habibi. Dubai Jeep, let's get it. Bags expensive.
Don't touch me. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. No, I have to back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up.
Y'all know I'm a proud girl dad. You also know I'm married to a badass doctor, business owner, my life partner, my business partner. So having strong women around me is not uncommon. Therefore, I had to have my next guest on my podcast. I came across this guest story a year ago, and I was glued to it. Here we have a female born to immigrant parents who worked in media to now being the CEO of the #1 online fitness platform, Superhuman. That's right, Nineveh Madison. What a story. For my female viewers out there watching this, if you're a CEO, COO, you're running your company, or you're just an entrepreneur or a working mom, you're finding trouble having balance between being a mom and a wife and being in the office, in the boardroom, this is the best episode for you. Stay tuned as Nineveh unpacks different strategies, different practical tips that will help you. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe and share. Stay tuned. We have a lot coming for you. Welcome, Nineveh Madison.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I think I pronounced it wrong. Nineveh Madison.
You know what? People say it differently, and I've been used to it my whole life, so
Which
it's
one?
really
How do
no
you say
big
it?
deal. People will say Neneveh,
Okay,
depending on where they're
They're
from,
from.
right? So, like in my home country, they'll say Neneveh or Nineveh.
Okay.
But in English, or the way that I pronounce it, is Nineveh.
Nineveh.
Nineveh. And it's not an easy name. So sometimes people call me Nina or Nivea, or so.
Nineveh.
Ever since I was a child.
Beautiful name.
Thank you.
And by the way, you're a beautiful in person.
Oh, thank you so
John
much.
is a lucky man. You guys both make a beautiful couple.
He's a beautiful man too, right?
He's amazing. And his heart is amazing.
He is such a good heart.
You know, I've been talking to him back and forth on IG, and he gave me some really good tips. You know, we have, this interview has been in the making for a little bit of time. So you guys have been really good to me. God bless y'all. Just want to get into it. I was telling John the story, how I found John, because my wife found you, social media. My wife, Sam, you're watching this, I love you, babe. Doctor by trade, now med spa owner, partner of mine, a mother too. Deals with a lot of mom guilt. We talked about it off record, off the camera. And she looks up your videos, and it's so inspiring to her, inspiring to me. And she one day she DM'd me and said, babe, you should interview these people. It's like a year ago. And I'm like, oh,
Women
babe.
always have the best ideas.
Yeah,
don't
you
they?
know what? And there you go. Yeah, and you're right. Where are you from?
So I was originally born in Linköping, Sweden. My parents are from Iraq. We're Assyrian, which is the indigenous people of Iraq. So it's a small Christian minority in the Middle East. And Nineveh was the name of the Assyrian capital. So ancient Mesopotamian days, Babylonian, right, times. And so I was born in Sweden because my parents escaped from Iraq right before the Saddam Hussein regime. And so I'm very fortunate that I wasn't born in that country and that my parents were courageous enough to leave. It was, I think, the late 1970s. So I was born in 81. And I grew up in Sweden, I say half my life, although not really because I'm 44, so much less than half my life. But we came to the United States when I was about 5 years old, and I remember that very clearly. And we moved back between the United States and Sweden every couple of years. So that's where I was born, but my ethnicity is Assyrian, and I always love to say that because I'm very proud of my background.
I love it. What city did you move to from in America?
We moved to Texas. We moved to a
Texas.
small town called Carrollton at the
Okay.
time, and then we lived in a town called Plano. I'm
Yes.
sure it's much bigger now,
It
close
is.
to Dallas, Texas.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Yes.
Brothers, sisters?
I have a younger sister by 10 years.
Okay. Mom and dad in Iraq were rich, wealthy,
No.
middle
No.
class?
No, I mean,
Oh.
when I say poor, I'm very inspired by both of their stories. They both have different backgrounds, but I'm not sure who's wealthy in Iraq except the people running the
Saddam was
country at
wealthy. That's the only
Saddam,
person,
right,
yeah.
at the dictatorship level. So I know my father was born to a farmer, my late grandfather. And same for my mother. They lived in a village, right? So they didn't grow up with much. And I remember a story very clearly that my father shared with me over and over again, that he was young when bombs were dropped on his village. And he remembered not knowing if he was in a dream or if he was dead. And he looked up at his mother and he said, "Are we alive?" And she said, "Yes." And they were in a cave. So they were able to escape the bombing of their village, where my grandfather had a farm at that time. And they were in a cave, I think, for about a week. And I don't know what kind of cave this was, but I imagine, like living in a cave at 5 years old, and that was your experience. And it wasn't short after that they moved to Baghdad. And there, as time went on, they lived in Baghdad and were, I would say, poor, right? And my father said that, one of his first experiences of being an entrepreneur was out of survival, where his mother told him, we don't have enough food. I don't have enough tomatoes. I sort of get emotional thinking about it. Sorry.
Please. Yeah, I stuck with you from that time. That memory was there. Wow.
So I'm gonna gather myself.
Take your
Sorry,
time.
you gotta edit that out.
Whatever you want.
No,
take your
you
time.
don't need to edit that out. But
I love the real emotions. I'm pushed to here 1 second, my water. I love the real emotions.
well, it's
It's the truth. It's history.
yeah, it's history, because it's realizing how each generation sacrifices so that I can be where I am today. And it's a shame to see people who, don't have that appreciation or don't understand maybe even what their own family, even if they weren't born in Iraq, have come from. But my father's first experience with entrepreneurship was, again, due to survival, a need to survive. His mother saying, "We don't have enough tomatoes," which meant we don't have enough dinner. And he said, "Well, how much money do you have left to buy food?" And let's just say it was like $5. So he thought, I'll go out and I'll buy a pack of cigarettes and I'll go out onto the streets of Baghdad and I will sell each cigarette for a profit. And that's how he was able to earn enough money that day to make sure that his mother was able to buy enough tomatoes. So I think about that story, and I think about stories like my mother, when she says at a young age her father was hospitalized, and they had to visit him in the hospital, and Iraq had a curfew and they were out past curfew. And so the police, said that they needed to stop, or they got confused with who they were. And she was shot in the hip at the young age of 6 years old. And so I think about, wow, what have my parents have gone through to survive and end up where they were and where I am, right? So I always look at my life as me growing up very privileged, even though I didn't grow up rich. Comparative to them, I was rich, even though we grew up living in an apartment and they worked jobs, they were immigrants. I know that you're an immigrant, your parents are immigrants, so you can imagine just being raised in a household of very, very, very hard workers.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's until you grow older, you become a parent, you become a mother, you become a business owner, and you start to reflect on how did I create this success in my life? And I think there are a lot of stories out there that we see on the internet talking about, I came from nothing. And I'm like, I came from something. My father came from nothing. My mother came from nothing. And really have a tremendous amount of respect for immigrants who come to this country with a dream, and seeing a lot of possibility. And that's what my father instilled in me, is that he said, I came to America and all I saw was possibility. Why? Because he came from a country where nothing seemed possible because of the regime, right?
Yeah, what a story, Nineveh. Oh man, I've looked up other interviews. You didn't share that part before. This is exclusive for SOS. Wow.
Exclusive and
Oh.
exclusively emotional. But by
Oh,
the way,
boy.
I'm 44, and if any women are watching this, I looked up your podcast. I understand the demographic is 80% male, so this is going to help them. But women in their 40s are perimenopausal, so their hormones shift and change. And I think as we age, we become much more in touch and in tune with ourselves, and we're okay being vulnerable. I'm okay with being vulnerable. I'm okay with the feminine side of me in terms of leadership too. And I like to talk about that. I think a lot of women actually masculinize themselves because they feel like they need to fit in a man's world. I think women bring something very unique to the table
That men can't.
in leadership, right? They
100%.
bring, I think, that emotional discernment, that feeling, that nurturing, that care. That's different than what men bring to the table. So I think it's a superpower and we should lean into it.
I agree with you. Funny, and not funny, interesting story to share. Just 3 days ago, my wife and I, people have been telling us, hey, you, newer med spas or med spa clinic, wellness clinic, and people have been saying to us, hey, Sama, you and KB need to share your story. Why'd you make Noor? And the whole stroke thing with the audience. And, she was a little nervous. But anyways, we got a camera, studio guy came in side by side. And Nineveh, she just started breaking tears. And I got tearful, emotional. And I looked to her, and it's not like her, but I let her do it. Not let her, I supported her to do, not let her. I supported her to do it.
I'm glad you caught yourself there.
Yes, I have 2 daughters, raised by a single mom.
But that's
So,
good. We all have those unconscious biases.
Yes.
And as long as you catch yourself,
you
I
need
think
to.
that's what's important.
You need to.
Yeah.
You need to. And I'm so proud of her. And our office manager saw the edit after that. It's important. I think the society needs to see some tears, happy or sad or memorable.
Mm-hmm.
The men, quick story, I was raised by a single mom, a lot of ups and downs in my life, and I don't have a male figure, so I am a little bit more emotional in some ways. I connect. If I see your story, like your story, I would have probably had emotional tears coming down my eyes too. I think it's okay to shed a tear as a man also.
It's important that
It's
you
important.
guys release your emotions. You're a human, man or woman. We're humans, right? And emotion is a way of processing. It's very important that you process your emotions. And the way that the body processes emotions is through thought, through verbal communication, and through tears. And tears actually have a mechanism of calming the nervous system down. So it's very important that you don't constantly hold back your tears or keep them inside, which is actually something that I did as a young child and growing up, really hardening myself. And now as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh my God, I cry so much more than I used to. Well, I'm actually allowing myself to process emotions, which is healthy. It's healthy for the nervous system.
You weren't like this all the time?
No.
Because the first video I saw of you and the person I met, and we had off-camera conversations, I thought you'd be like a super tough businesswoman, eye to eye, nonsense, on time, get out of here. But
I'm a no nonsense kind of a woman. So if I'm in a business environment, we're having a business meeting, I definitely want to be taken seriously.
Love it.
But I think as I've, expanded into leadership and been in business now for over a decade and sort of watching and observing other women and even observing myself, I have enough self-awareness to say, where is that, badass boss woman? How is that serving me and how is it not serving me? Quite frankly, right? And hardening myself in that way because I wanted to be taken seriously. And here's the conclusion that I've arrived at. Whether the person on the other side, typically a man, takes me seriously or not in business because I happen to be a woman, it's not my problem, it's their problem. It's not my problem to try to solve, to try to show up in a way that, mirrors maybe what I think is masculine. Well, I'll just show up as myself. And I know that I have the skill necessary. I know I'm smart enough that as soon as I open my mouth, they'll see that I'm an intelligent woman. So I don't need to come with a hardness or a mask anymore. So I think something that my evolution as a leader is allowing the mask to drop. And I think we all have masks. And sometimes those masks are very helpful. Those identities or those alter egos, they protect us. And sometimes we need to use them. But I think you need to know when to use them and when not to use them. In a podcast environment where we are having a real heart-to-heart conversation, knowing no matter whether one person watches this, 10 people or 100 or 1,000, I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is I want the other person on the other end and yourself to feel the level of authenticity so that whatever I'm saying is going to be helpful, right? And so I think that requires a level of vulnerability you need to be willing to have, because the last thing I want to do is give advice from a place of hardness, of toughness. It does require a lot of resilience and mental toughness to be in business. And then the other aspect is that you doubt yourself in the process, that it is difficult. That there can be a mental health struggle to being an entrepreneur. And why aren't we talking about this? Why is everyone saying, hustle more, grind harder? You're just not tough enough, or you're not man enough, or, to women it's saying, well, tough luck, enough with your excuses. At some point that isn't really helpful, right? I think we need to have honest conversations of what it's like to be a female CEO or be a woman in business. And I think we need to do it differently. We don't need to do it the way men do it. On the contrary, I think it's hurtful when we try to show up
in a masculine way. No, man, wow, you hit on a lot of points. I think this whole new word, not the word new, but masculine, feminine energy. I feel personally, I'm 43, my wife's 40. We 80, born in the 80s. We felt that these two words have been tossed around more recently in the last 5 years.
Yes.
Agree?
Oh my God, am I being masculine right now, or am I being feminine? I'm confused.
Yes.
You're just being yourself. You're being human.
How do you do that? Like, I wish, I'm speaking on my wife's behalf. So her biggest thing is she was always a gunner. Her mom and dad were lower struggling class. She has this thing that she had to fend for herself. She became a doctor, medical school, the whole nine, hospital, ER work. Now owns a med spa with me. 2 daughters at home. And she goes, babe, I don't know how to sometimes come home and be soft for you and cater to you and be a mom to them, then go to the office with you. Yeah, you're the CEO, but I'm also part owner and medical director. My name's on the thing, the doctor's sign. So how do I do that? And it's a good question. I scratch my head and throw that to you. Do you have that struggle?
Yeah,
how do you
all
deal
the
with
time. I think that struggle is normal. And so I think, number one, normalizing it so that she doesn't feel like something is wrong with her.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, you're going to work, you're, taking business meetings, or you're meeting with clients, or whatever it is that you're doing in your role is intense. There's an intensity to it. So, you've got dopamine and adrenaline and all these things coursing through your body. And then maybe what happens is that there's not enough time on the back end of the day to center yourself, to do something for yourself to calm the nervous system down. And all of a sudden you're expected to walk into the house and all of a sudden soften as a mother and play whatever role that you've made up in your mind that you're supposed to play. And I struggled with that for a long time. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I say, I'm just going to give myself permission to be who I am, whatever that may be today, because I have emotions and needs too. And so I need my partner, my husband. I need my husband to be a partner. Sometimes I require him to be the soft one, or sometimes I need to be soft because I can tell that he's had a very difficult day. So instead of saying I have this expectation of myself that daily I need to show up in a certain way as a mother, it's what kind of day did I have today? What kind of support do I need as a result? And can I lean on my partner on the other end to show up in a way that maybe I don't feel like I have the strength to because just my cup isn't full. And I think it's very important for women to fill their cup, right? We can't continue to pour from an empty cup. We have a lot of cognitive load as women. I think it's very important for men to understand the number of tasks that are running through our brains. So let me ask you this question. Do you guys have help at home?
We do.
Okay.
We have a person who comes in for cleaning the house. So we have that.
How often as entrepreneurs?
A few times a week.
Okay. Every day of the week now for us.
Yes.
Every day
I
of
heard
the
the
week.
podcast you guys both did, husband and wife did.
Yeah. I mean, it was a progression to that.
Sure.
Right? Because you can't do everything.
No.
You can't.
No. We do get food catered from outside for dinner. You know, my wife's role in the business is so important. She's the main provider. So right now we're leveling up, we're scaling. I got new providers coming in, but I had to start with her, right? Because she's doing the injections, she's seeing the clients and doing everything, procedures. So we have help. We have help. I don't have any parents, but my in-laws live far away. So we have no family help. Like, I don't think you have any family help either, right? Just you both.
We're very fortunate to have John's parents, so my in-laws.
Oh, they're here?
They're not here,
Okay.
but we fly them out when we
Often.
have events
Okay.
because we need the help.
Yeah.
And I don't feel great about, leaving our daughter with a nanny
Sure.
or I don't know. I just get very protective in
I get
that
it.
way. So we feel very fortunate that we have people that we trust that we can leave her with.
Do you work 5 days a week, 6 days a week in the office? I know you work all the time, but in the office.
I work all the time. I mean, let's not joke about it. Or lie about it or not be honest about it. When I say I work all the time, I work all the time
Sure.
up here, right?
Right.
And I have an office at home, and there are days that, I pick up my daughter, come home. I make sure she gets a snack, and mommy needs to go into the office and finish a couple of things. Now, there was a time that I couldn't give myself the permission to do that, and I gave myself a very difficult time for being a working woman. I struggled with, why am I this way? Why am I so ambitious? What is my problem? Why can't I just be satisfied
That's
with
her.
being a mother?
That's my wife.
Men never ask themselves this question. And my husband says, why are you struggling with this? I said, this is society. And maybe some of it is innate. Maybe some of it is nature. I don't know. But I do know this. I am happiest when I am fulfilled and working in my purpose. And part of my purpose, I feel very strongly and called to be a mother. And I also feel very strongly to be a business owner and a leader and to create. Because that's what God put me on this earth to do, is to create. And I think of everything as a creation, whether it's creating superhuman, it's a birthing. Everything I'm doing is innate as a woman. I was put on this earth to birth. And so I'm birthing a child, birthing children, I'm birthing businesses, I'm birthing leaders, I'm nurturing leaders. I am in my full feminine by doing that. And so I just reframed it for myself. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't need to listen to society. That other voice is society. It's cultural. It's religion. But what do I know to be true?
Oh, wow.
Would God, whatever you believe in, whether it's God or the universe, right, depending on your spirituality, doesn't matter to me, do you think he would really design one gender, one sex to be one way and the other to be different. I don't think so. I think he created us all equally to be creators.
You have any Pakistani Indian friends? Personally, have you have any like, Indian or Pakistani friends ever?
I have worked with a lot of Indian people.
Okay. So our circle stuff back in Florida, it's very well to do, entrepreneur husbands. Some of the wives are cardiologists, high level job, but most of them are housewives. Friends with my wife. Society now goes into her head. It's like I should maybe do that instead.
Yeah, I've struggled with that too. Once your mind has expanded, it cannot go back to what it used to be. So it's too late for that, right? So what she's been exposed to as a female, when we are exposed, when our mind is exposed to possibilities, right? We can't go backwards. So she's trying to convince herself to do something that isn't even really necessarily possible for her because now her mind has been expanded in terms of what she can create, right? What she can create. And I think there's nothing wrong with being a housewife, being a stay-at-home mom at all. I mean, my hat's off to the women that are able to do it. I'm not able to do it, whatever that means. So I do not picture myself, I don't see that I have an ability to stay at home with the children all day. I think that if I did that, I'd run it like a business. I'd just start a school. I'd figure out some way to be entrepreneurial about it, right? I'd build some sort of structure or system or operate it in a specific way. So I think my idea of being a stay-at-home mom would be very different than maybe even traditionally what it is. Because for me, my value is not in cooking. It's not in cleaning. I don't see my value there.
Making a sandwich for your husband? That
I'm happy to make him a sandwich. I've made him sandwiches before, don't get me wrong, but it's just not this over that,
By
right?
the way, I'm referring to a previous episode the husband and wife did together, John and Neneveh did. It was really good, very interesting. That's why I was researching that topic. That's the reason I brought that up, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, oh boy.
I know I told my husband, I actually he's very much a traditionalist, and so am I in many ways. Yeah. And he's alpha, I'm alpha.
Yeah.
And then I remember a couple of years ago, I said, your wife is kind of a feminist. Now, not in a feminist in the way that you're thinking,
Sure.
like, woke. I'm not good with the extreme woke women.
Me
That
neither.
doesn't work for me, okay? Women's rights, right? Very much, I know you have a daughter. Do you have daughters?
Two daughters,
Two daughters. We have a daughter.
Yeah.
I think
Same
that
age.
changes. That changes a man, right?
Oh,
For sure. You see
100%.
the world differently when you have a daughter. And you see your wife differently now. And what would you want for your daughters?
yeah.
Would you want to raise them to believe that their only role is to get married and become mothers? Now, if they choose that,
on their own?
great. That's okay. But make sure that's a choice. Yeah.
Sometimes I look at our story, my and Sama's story. It's become a therapy session with you. My story with her is like sometimes I wish that, in life I would be a little more ahead, where she can, be a housewife and be like in a nice life. We done pretty well for ourselves, but even then I don't think she would do that.
She wouldn't do that because my husband thought the same.
Yeah.
And he's like, when is it going to be enough money for you? I know, you're right. I thought the same thing. I thought I wanted you to provide for me. And then when we make X amount and I feel safe financially, I'm good. That was a lie I told myself. I'm like, no, I'm having too much fun creating. I want to see what else I can do with my life and in this world. What else can I create? How far can I go? Let me test. What is the limit? And the limit is just, the limitation is always right here in my mind.
Did you also partake in the manifestation mindset the journey your husband went through with Willam? Were you part of that too?
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that for you?
I think for me, so if we rewind to kind of just talking about my background and my story, I had a corporate career in broadcast. So I was a broadcast journalist, worked in television news locally in Utah, and started my career in Yuma, Arizona. And I did that for over a decade. And then from there, my father is an entrepreneur. And so I was privileged enough to have the opportunity to work in his company. And so I really learned my business chops from him. Now, that's not to say he just handed me a job. I walked in and very few people knew that I was his daughter. He had a very small business at the time, and I think he was on his third company. So he's been an entrepreneur since I was in high school. And I think that experience of working with a visionary like my father really expanded my mind, because I was able to see and be part of and help build a company go from about 5 to past 30 million at the time. And so that was a mindset shift on its own. And when I say that my father is a visionary, he's in the tech space, and technologists, people who work in tech, they think very big, right? They're limitless in a sense. And so he would always talk about building a billion-dollar company, or going IPO. And so this terminology, it expanded my mindset because I had a father speaking that way. And as we know, as parents, we're very influential on our children. And even though I was an adult and I didn't grow up with him thinking that way necessarily, he was actually employed and was an employee for many decades of his life before he went down the business route. But I think my mindset was very much expanded by that experience. And so I always believed that relentless execution is what it was going to take. But what William taught me was it doesn't need to be harder than it needs to be. And so I always believed, and in some cases still have this belief that I'm working on, that unless I work extremely hard, because of that immigrant background, I don't deserve what I have. And so I need to continue to work and work harder and hustle and grind and sacrifice to get to the next level. And that's not actually true. What's true is it's your decision making needs to change. And in order for your decision making, which is connected to your behaviors, right, your belief system has to change. So what is it that I believe that is causing me to think and behave and make the decisions that I'm making that is leading me to this outcome? So I think that's what William Lamb really taught me, and I always go back to his teachings. Anytime I hit a brick wall, and you always hit a brick wall at each new level in business and in life. As like going through one right now, actually, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much rapid feedback. So you hit a level in revenue, and new challenges, new problems appear, and old beliefs start, that paradigm begins to, create
Shaping.
friction up against this new world that you want to break into, right? So let's use this as an example. Superhuman, our company, is projected to hit 52 million this year. It's 2025. And now I've got my mind on the $100 million mark, because as the business owner and CEO, I'm thinking about the scalability of the company. And I'm thinking beyond 100 million, to be quite frank. And when you think that way and you proclaim it, the mind, the unconscious mind, challenges you. And what begins to happen is the circumstances, the people, the problems, all begin to appear in your external reality to challenge and test you. You say you want this, but are you willing to resolve this in front of your face? And the thermometer, the temperature of that experience, that rapid feedback loop is what I call it, can be very hot at times. So most people retreat. They go back to what's comfortable, right? You have to be willing to be extremely uncomfortable. And so I think what I'm very good at is being uncomfortable because of my immigrant background. I mean, it's when we talk about generational trauma, that trauma isn't very far away in terms of survival and the atrocities that my ancestors experienced. So I'm like, come on. My father, my mother, they experienced bombings. My mother got shot. My father sold cigarettes on the streets of Baghdad. He saw hangings in the street. He saw cousins shot. This is not fucking hard, Nineveh. Come on. You can do this. So I think business is more of a mental game. A mental game.
You know, I'm smiling. You're probably wondering why I'm smirking. Everything you're saying, the universe is delivering a message I needed to hear. And today was the time for me to sit, not when you came to Orlando, but today was the time for us to sit down, you and me and John before this, because we are going through some serious growth in our business. And my wife and I, our stress levels has been here. Like, I mean, I'm saying like,
Good.
it's hard. It's hard, man, to be in business with your wife who has her own baggage, so to speak, and my baggage, so to speak. You know, I come from a divorced family, single mom raised me. Grandmother moved in. I've been raised by a woman all my whole life. Mom, grandmother, aunt took me in, met my wife. Wife gave me 2 daughters. I have a business that's primarily woman working with me. So I've been around feminine energy for my whole life.
Do you need some masculine energy?
That's why your husband. That's why I looked up to your husband. You know, and it's
Come
like,
to Superhuman. There is a lot of masculine energy, let me tell you. More than 90% of my executive team are men, but I love to surround. Our COO is a female. She is a savage operator.
Yeah.
But the rest are men, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been operating in my masculine too long, and I said, you know what? I need guys, and I need you guys to go out and hunt and make the money and
make it work.
yes. So I do like to surround myself with masculine energy so I can sink into my feminine a little bit more as a female leader.
Are you social? Like you have a girls' night out type of stuff? Do you do that? Or like
I try.
Yeah.
I need to do it more, because I think it's important to have connection with your girlfriends.
Yeah.
So, yes, definitely connect with the girls. We have our conversations, and I think that's very important for a wife and women to get together.
I agree. I'm going to go back some few steps. You became a broadcast reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Simple terms, right? Simple terms. Income, salary, range 6 figures.
$19,000 a year
In the
was my
beginning.
first job.
Okay, in the beginning, yeah.
As a news reporter.
Okay.
When I left the business, I wasn't even making $90,000 a year,
Okay.
but male anchor across the street with a lower rated show
Sure.
than me was making $130,000 a year.
Wow.
I make much more than him now, though, so it's okay.
You could probably hire
I make
him now.
much more than the general manager who was in control of my salary, so I'm okay.
What year was that when you left?
Oh, gosh. When did I leave? It was almost
2010?
15 years ago at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to work with your father.
Yes. I left broadcast, and it wasn't, I didn't leave broadcast to go work with my father. So what happened was I was in broadcast for 10 years, and I noticed a real gap in the marketplace at the time. And this is when like Facebook was new, and I thought, wow, there's real opportunity with the internet. And I kept advocating to the TV station at the time. I said, I think we should start a podcast as a television news station, and I'd love to host it because I think the online space is going to be very big someday. And I also think we should get really niche with the type of content that we produce. And I'm really feeling called to produce more content for women. Is that something you guys would be open to? No, of course not, because they're dinosaurs, right? And they failed to innovate, which is why the media industry is where it is today. They failed to innovate. That's the reality. So they failed to innovate. And what happened with me is that is when the entrepreneurial bug really hit me in a way. Now I've got my husband, I'm newly married at this time, had my own 4 p.m. shows, the #1 rated in that time slot in Salt Lake City, Utah. And then my father's an entrepreneur as well. And I, again, had this thought of, well, if they won't let me produce that content, then I'll just go produce it on my own. And so I started a digital publication called Her Magazine. This is while I was working at the television station. It was called You at the time, but then I rebranded it to Her. And I simply reached out to the different female entrepreneurs, women that I found inspiring locally. I said, I'm starting this thing, and I'd love to interview you. because I was a journalist at the time and I'd love to feature you. Or would you mind writing like a blog or an article, and I'm going to release this in about a month. And I built it on my iPad, okay, during my spare time as a news reporter. And then I released the first issue, and I didn't have any thought about it. At the television news station said, wait a minute, what are you doing? What is this thing that you've just released? And I said, well, it's this content that you're not open to me producing for the television station. I felt really passionate about it. So I just did it myself in my spare time. And they got very defensive and angry about it. They asked me, did I have advertisers? Was I making money? And I thought, no, I'm not making any money from this. That wasn't even a thought. I had a desire to produce this type of content. You said no. I don't like to be told no. And so I did it anyway. And it was a fight. And so at the time, I called my father. I said, I'm doing this thing and they don't want to let me do it. And he said, well, I see that you have a real passion. One, you've got a media background. I've got this company. I could really use someone to help me with my social media, he said at the time. I said, oh, well, that's easy. Content, social media, not a problem for me. So I helped him while I was working at the television news station. And at the time, like I said, I had a pretty decent salary. And he said, I just need you to work like 10 hours a week. Can you dedicate that on top of this very busy career you have? And I said, sure. What will you pay me? He said, I'll pay like, how's $2,000 a month sound? Pretty good. So I started adding that up. I just did the simple math, not that I'm a mathematician. And I said, well, if he'll pay me $2,000 for 10 hours, what would he pay me for 40 hours a week? I said, so do you need anyone part-time, like 20 hours a week? As I did the math on what the taxes being taken out and my paychecks. And he's like, yeah, I'll pay you $4,000 a month. And I can't provide you health insurance, can't provide you with any of that. And that was the spark where I realized there's a way out of a job, this job. And so I turned in my resignation. I was in a contract, and they threatened to sue me. And my father said, call their bluff. They won't sue you. And so I walked away, and that's how my career as a corporate executive started. Was with him as a contractor, just producing content and doing social media. I had a skill that he recognized, and then he recognized an entrepreneurial spirit within me because of me producing this side hustle. So I did both for a while.
Wow.
And then he came to me one day, and it was when John and I were in Miami with our 4-month-old at the time, and we got this idea, because he had the gym, right, that we would start female versions of the gym called Her Fit. So it would have been a spin-off, the magazine. We'll have this publication. We'll reach the female market. We'll start these Her Fit gyms in Utah. And that's going to be the way that we'll expand the gym space. So call my dad, really excited. I'm going to do this thing. And he said, let me stop you right there. I will offer you an executive role. Come into my company full time. Don't be a contractor anymore. And also offer you stock options. He's throwing verbiage around that I don't even understand, quite frankly. And he said, come work full time, build the marketing and the sales department from the ground up. I was like, I don't know. And then he threw a nice big number at me in terms of a salary. 6 figures, finally. Okay?
Okay.
Now we're talking. Okay. Because I had not, my entire goal in my 30s was just to earn 6 figures. If I could just make 6 figures, and I wasn't thinking big enough, by the way.
No. Of course not. None of us are.
That's why it was taking me so long to even reach 6 figures. It was like the mind was like, oh, that's the end goal. So
yes, I have time to get there.
I have time to get there. I have time to get there. The vision wasn't big enough. So he threw that out there, and he said something that I'll never forget. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid, meaning take the offer. Don't be stupid. You're going to learn everything you could ever possibly learn here in my company on my dime. And you're going to get paid to do it. And what did I do? I took that opportunity, and I acted like I owned the business. So we would joke around, and he would say, I want to introduce you to my daughter, Neneveh, or my boss, as I like to call her. So I just took a lot of initiative, and I had so much fun creating from nothing, right? Just building from the ground up. And I learned a lot. I was very blessed to learn what I did, building teams from the ground up and making all the mistakes that I did. Learning about leadership and generating results in the process, and spent almost 10 years in business with him.
Any formal education for business, project management, certifications?
No formal education in business, formal education in mass communications with an emphasis in broadcast. And I think my experience as a broadcaster taught me how to communicate effectively and emote and enunciate and influence, right? So communication. So part of being a leader is having the ability to communicate what you need the team to do, correct? Now, my mother, interestingly enough, very savage project manager. And growing up, I would watch her clean, cook, do everything, get things done on time. So I think I got a lot of that innate skill set of being able to take something, an idea, and complete it and understand the process in between from her, but also from my days as a news reporter. We had very tight deadlines. Every single day we had to turn a story. So even today when I'm working with a team, I'm like, guys, I worked in broadcast for 10 years. I'm not asking for the impossible. My television station would ask for the impossible. They'd call me up and say, I need you on the 5 o'clock news with an interview with the governor. Figure it out. And I had a 3-hour window to make it happen and look good while doing it. So I think that taught me a lot about project management, meeting deadlines, timelines, being efficient, being optimal. So I credit my diverse background in broadcast and then business, building alongside my father, quite frankly, for the skill set that I have today. So I think that really gave me the confidence I needed. But when I walked into the business with John, I was really unsure as to whether the results that I generated in my father's business could be replicated at Superhuman. So I had a lot of doubt when I first walked in. I thought, well, maybe I got lucky, right? But that was his product, his business. Maybe that wasn't me. Maybe I really didn't do, maybe the results that were generated didn't have all that much to do with any of the magic that I brought to the table. And so when I walked into business with John, maybe many people don't know this, there was a lot of self-doubt. There was a lot of anxiety. And what I did was I just got to work. I was like, you know what? I'll do what I know how to do, which is work, execute, build systems, processes. I introduced Superhuman to the terminology SOP. Like, what's an SOP? I'm like, that's the basic of operations, really. That's basics. That's Ops 101. We've graduated way past SOPs at this stage, right?
That's a very common word my wife likes to use all the time. KB, make an SOP on that. But wow, what story, man? That's where you start from and where you are now. The journey. It all adds up in your current reality.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you meet John?
So, it was very serendipitous, actually. I recall when he shared his story, or his version of events, is that he saw me on television news and had a thought like, she's really beautiful and, maybe I'll meet her someday. And for me, when I was working in TV, I had gained some weight and I needed to get in shape. There were, TV viewers are vicious, just like internet trolls. So by the way, internet trolls don't bother me. I actually laugh. I think it's hilarious because it takes me back to my TV news days. I'm like, you guys are rookies. Try television news viewers. They're very vicious and, they asked me, are you pregnant? You're getting fat, whatever. And I was like, you know what? They're not wrong. I've gained some weight and I need to get in shape. And so I asked Twitter at the time, which is now X, does anybody know of a personal trainer in Utah? I need to get in shape. And some random guy just connected myself with John, and he said, you got to go to John Madison. He's the best in Utah. And so the rest is history. I went in to train with him. But first, when he tried to sign me on as a client, he told me how much he charged, and I thought, oh, hell, I don't have $50 per session. By the way, that was back then.
Back then.
You couldn't get him to train you
No,
now,
no,
right?
I mean,
But that's what I thought. I don't have $150 a week to train with this guy. And I said, well, thank you. Nice offer, but that's not going to work for me. And he came back and he offered to train me for free, of course.
Oh, wow. How long you guys date for?
We dated for about a year and 8 months before he proposed.
Wow.
Yeah.
A year and 4 months?
A year and 8 months.
8 months, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty,
About 8 months too late.
okay, yeah.
I knew that I was going to marry him before I met him because, like any great journalist, I actually Googled him. I looked him up. And what really touched me was I watched a story about him that the local news had done about just his story. He shared it with you, right? In terms of never playing football
Walking
in
away from
high
it.
school. He
Retired.
was a
Yeah.
walk-on, and then the injury that he had, and still made it to the NFL. And there was something about his voice that felt familiar. And I was also at a time where I had prayed. I'd been praying for a husband. I turned to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I'm going to marry him. And she's like, you're crazy. I said, I'm going to marry him. This is the guy. And we met.
You declared it.
And I knew. Just took him a little time to propose.
Uh,
Men tend to need a little encouragement
trust me.
sometimes in that area.
more kids on the card for you guys? You want more? Is one okay for now? What are you guys planning?
Would love to have more. So we have a daughter. She's 7, and for us, we've really struggled with our fertility journey.
So do we.
Yeah. So our daughter is through IVF. And I did several rounds, 5 rounds of IVF, a frozen embryo transfer, also had a surgery to remove fibroids before I could have her. I've done several rounds since her, and I'm planning on embarking more rounds at the age of 44 because I don't know how to accept defeat. That's all I can tell you. I just feel it on my heart to have more, and so I'm going to keep trying.
You should see my text my wife sent me last night. My wife, I'll share it. It's no private situation. She shared herself. We have IVF for the first one. Second one just came out of nowhere. And after that, we've been trying. We had a miscarriage. And my wife's exactly what you said is her thing. I don't want defeat, and I want another kid. And I'm not a woman. I don't know what most women go through, but being a husband to a woman who had IVF and being a friend of yours now, man, I salute you. I mean, the shots, the emotions. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
a
heavy.
lot on the couple, on the husband also. I mean, it's about y'all. We don't take anything away. But, it's like, oh, my God, like, am I feeling this part of it? Like, what am I?
I think you guys feel powerless in a way,
Yes.
don't you? Yeah, and so you
Yes.
don't know how to help. You don't know what to do. What is your role in this? And so for me, it's, I met my husband when I met him in my 30s, and I was 37 when I gave birth by C-section to our daughter. And, I prioritized my career. I prioritized becoming financially independent because that's what my parents taught me, right? They said, you need to be financially independent. You need to be educated. They actually never encouraged me to get married and have children. That's not what they saw for me or necessarily wanted for me. They wanted a different life for me.
Being Middle Eastern from Iraq.
Being Middle Eastern, but
Assyrian?
Assyrian, remember?
Yes.
Christian minority. My parents are very progressive. They're very progressive people.
But even Christian Assyrians
Yes,
are
but very progressive. They're very different. Yeah, it's
Different
very
breed.
fortunate. Different breed. I don't know. So hats off to my mother and father.
Do you think this is the Assyrian part of it or the Christian part of it? I mean,
Maybe it's a
Christians-
combination, but I think, being Christian Assyrian. I mean, all Assyrians are Christian, but maybe it had to do with the village that they came from, and then the fact that, my father at a young age listened to the Beatles, and they came to America, and they had that entrepreneurial spirit, right? So I think that makes you progressive in a way, right?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but I always say my father raised me like the son he never had. I always joke around about that.
Your mom, describe your mom for a second. How would you describe her? She works? Is she a homemaker? I mean,
She was doing both. right? And I think that watching her, one of the conversations that I remember very clearly growing up as she was cleaning after a very long day of work, a very, very successful career-oriented woman, by the way, but she did everything. She did everything. She comes from that generation of doing it all, which then was passed on to this generation that we're trying to break away from. It's like, oh, women can work too. So, well, you can do the homemaker role, be the mother, do all the tasks associated with that, carry the cognitive load, and also do the cleaning, and also do the cooking. So she did it all. You know, they were progressive, but very traditional in their roles. My father didn't clean. He didn't cook. Everything was service to him during their marriage, and I think that was very heavy for her to carry mentally, I could tell. And I think that really affected her. And so I remember one of our conversations growing up and her looking up at me and saying, Nineveh, never do what I have done for your father. You make that promise to me. And what she was talking about was supporting him relentlessly in the way that she did, which is we put his career first. So she said, you know, there were times that instead of chasing her career and her desires and her wants, she sacrificed herself for the family or, you know, always making sure there was a clean home, even when she was tired. And I think that really took its toll on her mentally. And so I always say, that's why I got a housekeeper, because I remember that conversation. Nineveh, don't do what I did. You were not to clean like this. Now I have a very, very bad habit of still cleaning. Like the cleaners will come and then I'll start,
still do.
oh yeah, let me help you. And you know, I'm very fortunate that our housekeeping team, they've been with us for 5 years. They're like family to us now. And
So
the
they don't mind.
manager,
They like-
she's
just-
like a sister to
Yeah.
me. She's like, well, I'm older than her.
Yeah.
So she always jokes I'm her older sister. And so anytime we move, I'm always giving her like the furniture. You know, she's like, well,
so
that's
sweet.
what you should do for your younger sister. She jokes around, but she's like, stop cleaning. Stop. You know, it's a bad habit to break. But,
By
you
the
know, I
way,
grew up like
congratulations on
that.
your new house.
Oh, thank you.
Before the summer, right before you came to Orlando, I saw you guys had a beautiful house. By the
Thank
little bit
you.
snippets I saw. You ever thought you're gonna drive a Ferrari?
Huh?
You ever thought back in the day you're gonna drive a Ferrari or a G-Wagon and the
You know, I have this cousin, and we both came from different families, and she always used to say, if only I'd had your father, I think my life would be different.
wow.
And I said, you know, don't say that. You have a cousin and you have the uncle. Okay? So you have the uncle. But I think she was really more referencing like maybe the mindset that I was raised around or was exposed to, the type of parenting. But I remember even back then in high school saying, when I'm rich, I'm going to make sure that we're both driving Corvettes.
back then. Yeah, back in Corvette.
I don't have a Corvette.
Yeah, but it was
So
exotic car that
I think I imagined a big life.
Yeah.
I always used to say these things.
Declare them.
And when John and I got married, our walkout song after we said our vows was Kanye West's The Good Life,
I love it.
right? So I knew I wanted the good life. I wasn't sure. I wasn't like, oh, I'm dreaming of diamonds and purses and watches and
Birkins.
cars and Lambos. But I do always remember saying I wanted more. I desired more. I desired the good life, the big life, the bigness of whatever this world can offer. I want it. I want to experience it. I want to taste caviar. I want to travel to Paris. I want to see the world. I want to experience what life has to offer. I want to create. And always wanted to buy a Chanel purse. Why? Because of what it represented.
Yes.
It represented a dream, a hope, a story. That's why I'm attracted to the things that I just referenced. Because there's a level of excellence required to make a Chanel purse. There's a level of excellence required to engineer and construct a Lamborghini.
A Ferrari.
A Ferrari. Yeah,
a
I've got a
Rolls-Royce.
Lambo too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Lambo,
Urus.
Ferrari,
Urus.
G-Wagon.
And the RR.
And the Ghost.
the double R.
But I didn't imagine, like, would there be a whole fleet of vehicles? And now that I've seen it, been expanded to it, I want more. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more. It doesn't mean that I'm not satisfied or grateful for what I have now. And I think that's what stops a lot of people, that they're not willing to admit what they desire, that they really are riddled with shame and guilt. And I think a lot of it is due to religion
Yes, it
or
is.
the way that they are raised.
Yeah.
We are living in a society that has a problem with the material world.
Yeah.
Well, we are, as Madonna says, living in a material world. And if you believe in manifestation, this is a manifestation in the material of my mind. So why wouldn't I want to materialize the coolest experiences and the coolest things for myself?
Yeah. I have a bone to pick with you.
Let's do it.
We made this one reel with James. how
Yeah.
desi-
James, and those reels, he gives me like, those get me in trouble.
You're like, you could tell I like Amiri. I like designer stuff. And you're like, men should, or people should not wear designer stuff to a certain point. Something that's too much designer is not too good.
I think we were talking about the difference between being rich and wealthy.
Maybe. So, like, for
Okay,
me,
let's talk about the ascension. Pick the bone.
Okay, so, no, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
But
do
my
it.
buddy sent it to me. My buddy goes, hey, that couple you look up to, that's what she's saying about that. My thing is recently, about 2 years ago,
I like your Amiri jacket,
thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you
That's
so
a great
much.
brand.
I was very frugal most of my life until my wife took me to Dior. I have the wallet. My wallet was like breaking apart. She goes, babe, that's the wallet you have to buy. And she pushed me to get the wallet. And you know what? Buying the wallet, it opened something up in my mind.
Absolutely.
A law of assumption. Like, we opened the Met Spa around the same time. I'm like, listen, I'm the CEO. It doesn't mean a CEO has to wear Amiri or Chanel or whatever, or Dior. But for me, it symbolizes excellence, high level thinking. And that wallet was the beginning of now Dior sweaters to now Amiri stuff. So my buddies make fun of me, tongue in cheek, like, hey, buddy, we get it. You're doing okay. It's okay. You don't have to wear the Amiri all the
No,
time.
I think you should totally show off and be
Okay.
yourself and wear whatever you want and buy whatever you want. That message was really for, I think, in the internet space.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, is we have, a youth and young entrepreneurs that are watching people like myself and John online, and they seem to think it's easy.
Yes.
And they seem to think that they should go buy the watches and the cars before they even have the skill set. They think the mindset is enough, and they don't realize that they may have to put at least a decade into relentless execution before they see any results. So I think, it's a give and take. And so in that message, I just want to be mindful as flashing this around. Like, how old am I? I'm 44 years old. How many years? Let's talk about how many decades it took to get to the place that we're at now. You heard my journey, my story, my upbringing, who my father is, and then John's story, right? We're talking about the 0.0000001% in this world. Do not compare yourself to that. I always tell people, do not compare yourself to my chapter 20 with your chapter 1. Because it's going to make you feel like a failure. And so I think as you ascend as a business owner, the more successful, interestingly, that you become monetarily, the less almost that you want to flash, or that's the phase that I feel that I'm in right now. So new money is true. When you get new money,
100%.
And by the way, this happened to John and I too. It's like new money. I'm like, oh, I've never seen anything like, oh, I want to buy this. I want to get this. I want to show this. Because you've been waiting all your
whole
life for
life.
that moment.
Yeah.
So do it. Go for it. Everybody has to experience that.
Sure.
And then after that, you
It
realize
fades away.
it fades away. You're like, okay, now I'm buying it because I want to. Do I need it? You're making different decisions around it. And because you're thinking more long term about your money. So there is a difference between being rich and wealthy. And what I mean by that is, well, yeah, rich is like that new money,
It is.
excitement.
Sure.
And I'm not saying don't do it. And then at some point, you begin to think about the long term,
Big picture.
which is how do wealthy people think, and where do wealthy people park their money, and how do they behave? What is their behavior like? Now, John and I are in the philosophy of we just want to make enough money to do both.
Yeah.
It's not one over the other, right? So I have expensive taste, admittedly, and I'm okay with that.
Yes, you do. I see you go shopping on social media. By the way, that was a joke.
I
No
don't
bone
even
to pick.
share all my
Yeah.
shopping
Oh, you
sprees,
don't?
but really don't have time to go
Yeah,
shopping
sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, as a CEO of a, headed towards a 9-figure business, but a multiple 8-figure business, shopping is the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
It's just, get me something to wear so I look nice on this podcast.
Question: did you, John, have a time where you were struggling financially?
Oh, yeah.
How long did that last for?
I mean, almost up until a couple years ago.
When did Superhuman officially become Superhuman?
So,
2020? 21?
it's been about 4 years now that I've been in the business. So I think about 5 years. And I would say, well, let's define financial struggle, right? So I had a career. He owned a gym. We always had money.
Money coming.
Right? Money coming.
Sure,
But we're always going down to zeros.
Okay, that's the point.
That's not a comfortable place to
That's
be
the point.
in.
That's the point I'm talking about.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, that's the
So
point.
that was in our early years of marriage. I came in with about $20,000 in the savings account because I was employed. I was taught to save money. Like an immigrant.
Not invest or grow it. Save it.
Just save
hoard
it. Save it for a rainy day.
day.
But I still have that mentality about the business in terms of making sure that we have a
Reserves.
strong. Absolutely. Your balance sheet is very important. Yeah. Your cash positioning as a business is very important. Always plan to win, always plan for the best, and always plan for the worst, and it's there. And then you can operate out of abundance. But it takes time to get there. You do have to be disciplined to arrive at that place in your business. And we were at zeros a lot of time. One of the things that I admire the most about John is his belief. He's a very high risk taker. I have a lower risk tolerance. So I think that's good, the two of us. But I say when he wants to take a risk, I say go for it because you always seem to figure it out. And I always seem to know that we'll execute our way into that. We'll make it happen. So I've always admired his belief, but we've gone down to zero many times. And in the business, when I left my corporate executive career, was making great money, I think that kept us comfortable. And I think in many ways I left not just because I was exhausted from all the work. He said the business is making, a couple of million now. You're good. You don't have to work. Like when we go back to that conversation about your wife. I was like, oh, maybe I'll retire. I won't work. I walked into the business. Maybe we'll launch the female division. I'll kind of dabble, work part-time, help out. But I couldn't help myself. And at that time, when I walked into the business, we were making money, but we were not profitable, right? And that's a dangerous place to be in business. So you have to really figure out your business model, your pricing strategy, your product, what is the service that you're delivering, and how can you go to the marketplace and capture and convert. And John is very good at capturing and converting. And he's, we call him the rainmaker as the founder, that revenue engine. He has an ability to go to the marketplace and understand marketing psychology unlike anybody else out there today. I think he's one of the best, and just nobody knows it yet. So in the business, I would say there were many years that we went down to zero. And there was a time, it was a couple of years ago, when we were down to zeros, and I said, if we have to take the HELOC out on the home and float the business and float the payroll, we'll do it. But I know you're going to figure this out. I know you will figure this out. I'll keep building the back end because that's all I know how to do, John. I know how to build the back end. At the time, we were only 40 new customers a month. I said, I'm going to build the infrastructure so that we can handle a capacity of 400 new clients a month. Is it 400 new clients? We're only getting 40. I'm right. I know. But you're going to figure out how to get 400 new because this is all I know how to do, scale. So I hope this work is worth something. So I think we really borrowed each other's belief, but I had a belief in him. I had faith. Faith is a verb. So I continue to take action. And if you keep going, it will hit. He was relentless. I was relentless. And the message hit. The messaging in the marketplace hit. We began to convert. And almost overnight, it felt like overnight. It wasn't overnight, but almost overnight, it's like something unlocked. And it was like, and I remember that time, it gives me chills because we were getting so many sales. Our reps were just like on calls. We're just signing up new clients. I mean, it was an insane time to experience that almost overnight growth and then actually having the systems and process in place to hold that capacity. So I'm always building from a place of scale. Even today, I'm like, I'm not building for what we have today. We're good. Future paced. So what else is possible? What else can we achieve? But yeah, that was several years ago. And every time you hit a revenue level, you're going to have seasons in business where you have trends, ups and downs, and now it becomes a whole new ballgame. The arena that we're in now is a whole new ballgame of business. And that has its own set of challenges and difficulties.
With this time, the last time that you felt that discomfort of money, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, but I feel the discomfort now.
But it's a
different discomfort, even financially. It's not a discomfort of zeros. It's a discomfort of, I've got over 100 people in my organization. Now it's a whole different level of responsibility, almost 4,000 clients, and a really big vision. Holy shit. I've got people counting on me. We've got people counting on us. Every decision we make,
affecting every one of them.
yeah, it's crucial.
And not
it's
only them,
crucial.
your client. It affects everyone.
Everything. It's a different game.
Homes.
So that's a different level of pressure that you face at this stage. Then, that's a different pressure. So now we have to make sure the engine continues, that we are a sustainable business, that we continue to be a sustainable, profitable business.
So
you have to acquire new skill sets along the way.
Yeah, your mentality that brought you year one will not bring you year 4 good growth.
No way. So we have to surround ourselves with other entrepreneurs, business owners that have done more than us. We just, recruited some top-level executives. I always say my team, the leadership team and the executive team, the entire team that we have is phenomenal. We've built an incredible culture, and that's a testament to the leadership that we have in place. So we have a rock star executive team. And I like to surround myself by people who know more than me. That's key.
That's the key.
That's key. And I think as a female leader, it's much easier to do because we come with less ego, I would say, than men do. Yeah, so I love to learn too. So I get really excited when I'm around people and I don't talk much. If I'm not talking a lot, it means I'm learning something from you. Yeah.
I have someone in my life, I'm not saying his name, a person I know, and he looks at these different entrepreneurs, couples like yourself, and say, in 4 or 5 years, there's no way they did that. Like, that has to be something they did wrong, illegal, typical immigrant mentality. This all superhuman success has been done last 4 to 5 years.
No. I think it's 25 years. I always say that.
No,
you got to look at it that way.
Yeah,
it's not 4 or 5 years. You know why? Because it started from the day I started a job. It started from the day that John started playing football.
You started back then.
That skill set you have to build, all the decades of work in the corporate world for myself. How did I acquire all that skill set? That's not 4 or 5 years.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's a transfer of knowledge, a transfer of skill, and his transfer of knowledge and transfer of skill of having the physical gyms and combining the two. And now that combination taking another 4 or 5 years to go where we are now. So I always say it took 25 years. So no, I'm sorry, fast money, don't, be very careful. It's not fast money just as fast as you earn it, as fast as you lose it. The longer it takes you to earn it, maybe William will challenge me on this belief, but I feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'll never go back. It's impossible to go backwards because I have a different skill set.
Sure.
So I'm going to make different decisions. So I'm not worried about it from that perspective. I just want to make sure that I continue to grow and advance so that we can keep and grow what we have. That's where my mindset is now. But it was not an overnight success by any means. And I think I need the people listening and people on the internet to understand that very clearly. Because if you are walking into business expecting to be rich a year later,
No way.
you're not in it for the right reasons.
No way.
No way.
No way.
And I see that. I see people leave. I'm gonna go do
My own
and do
thing.
what you do, and I want to be like you. And I'm fine. Come back in 10 years and then apologize for being an asshole like that. No, seriously, because people are too cocky, about, do I believe in possibility? Absolutely. But I would say acquire the skill set first. And if it's not working for you and you know that you've put in all the time and effort in relentless execution and you're still not getting results, then maybe you have a mindset issue. Right? I think a lot of people have a lack of execution issue in today's world. Oh, I'm going to go to the jungle and, I don't know, unlock my mind and do this. It's like, no, I think you're just avoiding having to do the work.
And the reason that they're avoiding it goes back to the child. That's a topic for William. Why they're avoiding it, right?
Yeah.
And wow, what a story. I am amazed. Nothing. I'm not surprised. You hit it out of the park. What an amazing
Thank you.
interview. For my listeners, men and women both. What a story. Any words? Any other advice before going? But before that, sorry. Your daily routine. That's one question I ask every one of my guests. Yes. Manifestation, prayer.
I love that you asked this
Yes,
question
yes.
because I'm a woman
Yes.
and I'm a mother of a 7-year-old. And you're asking me what my routine is. And I'm laughing. It's not a set routine.
Yes.
So for the women listening, don't feel bad when you're watching all these people online with their perfect lives saying at 5 a.m. I wake up and I do this. And then at
Pilates.
5:30 I sip a glass of water. I have a routine and I keep it very simple. I wake up early in the morning. Why? Now that I'm past the newborn phase. Now, when I was in the season of life where our daughter was much younger, I slept in until 7 o'clock in the morning unapologetically, and I did not adopt or this, mentality that I need to wake up at 5 a.m. I needed my sleep. So now that she's older and she's sleeping through the night and in her bed, I can wake up at 5 in the morning, and I love to do my 5-minute journal because it's very simple and it keeps me in gratitude. Have my water, have my cup of coffee, work out, work, come home, eat, go to bed, repeat, and then enjoy our client events and travel in between and family time on the weekends. I don't like to work the weekends. I know I answered more than one question there, but morning routine isn't some elaborate crazy thing. I would love to get that dialed in even more, but I think people have to be very realistic with the season of life that they're in, which is why I believe so much in what we do as a company. We really teach people the foundation. A lot of people are missing the foundational aspects of health, of fitness, okay? Wake up in the morning, be hydrated, train, eat right, get your steps in, and you will get the body that you want. People overcomplicate it. They're like, I gotta go in my cold plunge, and I gotta do my red light, and then they're doing all these things, and they're avoiding the real work. I think that's what we do very well at Superhuman, and we have the most phenomenal coaches to help people walk through that process.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at I am Nineveh Madison. That's where I hang out the most. And go to superhuman.com if you're interested in learning more about what we do.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.